Hello, this is Jer, and I've been playing Oxygen Not Included. Got some bad news. The videos that I've been recording for the last quite a few cycles have not been recording audio. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to get you caught up. There's been some repairs that have been needed. Let me start with the steam turbine. So I actually split this into two rooms. Now I've got two power plants. I'm not enabling this side, and this was due to the fact that this was not generating enough power. I've never had a base yet, once I had the sort of nuclear power plant, if you will, operational, and it didn't provide enough power. These, essentially my several aquatuners, two of them that are running here just to keep the system itself cool. But then I've got an aquatuner here, which is freezing ice. Got another aquatuner doing some cooling down here, and that one's actually taken some damage, which is another thing. We'll talk about that one later. But anyway, with all that and all the other pumps and that, I had to actually make this a power plant, a proper power plant. So that was quite painful because I had to move each and individually these steam turbines, pushing water out, getting one over side by side. It wasn't too bad, but if I had known that in the first place, that this wasn't going to be enough power, well, I could have designed this from the start. But anyway, my next playthrough, I'm definitely going to be taking that into account. The other thing that happened is my steam turbines have been taking damage. This one actually fully broke, and I had to go in here. I took all the liquid out. That's why I have this guy there. No longer need it. But I got the steam pressure down. Was able to send a dupe in to fix that with some steel. Recreate a vacuum. Put the liquid back in. And the reason for this breaking was I had ice here that had slowly melted, and that had flooded this guy here. There was a tile here blocking that. So another pain point, if you have steam turbines, don't leave ice or polluted ice or anything that's liquefiable on them. Right now I just have this open up so any future liquid can go out. But the other thing that I should have done, and this is going to be something I'm going to aim to do in a future playthrough, is to put temperature checks in those. So I mentioned temperature checks earlier. This is a new aquatuner system, and it actually has a thermo sensor inside looking for a safe temperature such that the thermo aquatuner won't be breaking, and that's fed in with logic to actually be able to put that in the AND gate to see whether or not it's going to allow liquid to go in or not. So I'm going to aim to have that as a default with all my setups going forward, so I'm not into that situation of having to break into here, make repairs, and close it off. Also, I kind of have this set up. It's a thermo sensor that's putting this very cold, well, no, it's not at the moment. Whoops, forgot to put that in, but let me just do that now. But the idea here is, do I have this? Oh no, that was not supposed to be there. Hold on, what am I trying to do? Yeah, I guess this is going to split in two different directions, and if cooling is needed, looks like it is at the moment. We don't want to make this guy to be too hot. Not really a problem right now because there's no steam. But anyway, all to say is this guy is enabling this based on whether cooling is not, just a different way to keep my steam turbine nice and cool. And storing ethanol. This is very cold ethanol. So what am I doing with this cold ethanol? Getting its temperature down, want it to be at least minus 20 or so. And oddly enough, I'm actually feeding that into the rockets. These are new rockets that are not ready yet. And I'm getting the fridges with the use, you can't see it, but behind there is a conductive panel that's essentially bringing the temperature of these fridges down. Because I found out if you make a fridge really cold, let's say minus 20 or so, any food you put in there is not going to take on heat. Speaking of which, another thing that I've learned over the last little bit, summarizing quite a bit over one little video, but it's the way it is since I lost a bunch of stuff. But anyway, what I did is I was watching dupes transport pepper bread from here up to the rocket, and as they're going, walking along here, and even when they're transiting the transit tube, the temperature of that pepper bread has been going up. So if it was just close to the frozen state, it often would be loaded into this spot in refrigerated status, which I don't want. I want to make sure any food that's here, if I click on this, it should say deep freeze. So the fridge is in sort of, you know, a deep freeze status, or minus 24 at the moment. The actual food is as well. But what I did to solve that problem is I took the temperature of this area down so that the food would not be transported at just freezing status, minus 18, but it would actually be transported at much colder, taking into account the food will be warming up on the way. I did think to myself, if I had to design this over again, I probably would have brought the food storage to be higher up so that the dupes have less room or less space to go out to. Alright, what else have you missed since I was here last time? Expanded number of Atmo suit lead suits, lead suits docks, so that I can do construction in this zone. But I now have ice over here. I guess I forgot to put in enough ice at this location, possibly, so I'm going to try to get that back in. But I've got ice all along here, and I can start the process of getting pips to be dropped off here. I can have cuddle pips and just regular pips. Bring in some sleet wheat, and I can make some natural plants. And then the rest of the base, I leave a little bit of damage over here, but this no further damage. What I should have done is I should have actually held the pump off until this area was warm enough, because what was happening, this was taking steam, and it was essentially going through this zone, and the steam was turning to water, breaking into pipes. But now everything is hot enough. I don't have to have to go back in here to fix that. Other than that, I think everything is largely the same. It's the main thing that I've been working on. Oh, and of course, we've got a fleet of 6 Red Bolt rockets, so I can start exploring. So let's start off with planting some wild plants, wild sleet wheat here. Watching the first wild sleet wheat be planted by this pip. Directing them to put it right there with the use of these ladders. And these ladders are being made out of obsidian. And currently in the process, I'm storing all the obsidian in this storage bin, because I can actually close this off and actually prevent these ladders from ever being built. Just a little bit convenient if I did it that way. The other thing I've done is I lowered the priority down to 1, but I've got a lot of rovers here that could very well build this if I'm not careful, because they're hard workers. They don't sleep, they don't eat. They just like to do work. In fact, this one's probably on the way to build one of these ladders right now as we speak. So I'm going to see how much obsidian I have in the world. Let's diagnostics. If I look at that, I've got about 4 tons. How much is stored here? I just have to wait a little bit longer till all the obsidian in the world is in this bin. So just going to demonstrate the power of this little room. I'm going to open up the door here. Let's slow things down. So for this moment, the dupes think they have 5 tons of obsidian to build with, so I can click on this. And I will plant obsidian here, 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 and here, which prevents the pips from planting anything but here, since I already have a wild plant located right there. Now, if I go and close this, and go back over here, the dupes and rovers will never actually be able to build these. Which means the moment the pip plants something here, I can just cancel this one rather than have to wait for a dupe or a rover to destroy it. There it is, a little symbol saying that there is no obsidian for these things to be created. I can't remember if I captured this in the video or this is where I lost it. But I had to put an insulated tile here and here. Found that the steam was interacting too much with the tiles, warming this whole area up. But ever since I put in ceramic tile, insulated tile here and here, that's where the gas pipe here goes in and out of. This area isn't as hot. The other thing is I had to put in radiant pipes here and with the tub as well, just to make sure that this temperature, this area of base, the temperature goes down. So brought more pips up here, and this is what I like. I can now hit cancel instead of have to wait for someone to destroy that ladder. It's just gonna take one of these pips to decide to pick up this sleet wheat and plant it right at this location. In fact, I think we have a pip or a cuddle pip doing that already. So just oh, here we are, kind of yeah, sometimes this happens. We just have to be patient, and someone will put it at this location. Sleet wheat seed still there. So actually maybe, oh, someone didn't actually make it in there. I'm assuming that when the dupes dropped it, they just went on break just before they could get the pip over. So one of the viewers, I think it was Death1, had mentioned that they actually save the nuclear waste. Which actually, looking at this, might have been a good idea and something I might do in a future playthrough. Because that nuclear waste is very hot, and there's potential to get more power from it. So I almost wonder if I could create either a larger set of steam turbines, or perhaps start storing this waste instead of kind of pushing it out, getting rid of it. Put it in another chamber, of course, not within the base because it's really hot, but putting more steam turbines. Anyways, just looking around for ideas, because I'm getting a little bit of base fatigue. It may have partially been because I've lost probably 50 or so cycles worth of stuff, but also a lot of stuff has been going wrong. And it's been more about patching things up. Like say, I completely redid this whole section. I've got this cooling section for food or fridges, and I realized I should have had my food storage located up here. It's a little sad because I had this huge area. I'm just starting the process now of putting wild sleet wheat in place to allow this to grow, to get free food from that. I've learned a lot during this playthrough. Special thanks to viewers that mentioned about the water system. If you put polluted water, regular water, through a desalinator, it actually doesn't consume power or damage the machine. So this setup here is forever going to be simplified for myself for any future basis, water processing. So happy about that. Learned a lot about food storage, in particular in the rocket. I'm always going to be aiming now to keep frozen fridges in here. I'm going to do a little bit more and see if I can find a way to cool the actual rocket itself down. I just worry about if I put water in and out, to worry about polluted water, I have to worry about the fact that if I connect this with output, I might be leaking water out in space when I'm traveling. Anyway, there's more to be done there, but I think the highest priority thing for me is figuring out how to ensure that pepper bread or whatever food I'm going to eat is frozen when it gets in here, because occasionally it's not. And that may just be because I didn't have the food storage area cold enough, but I think there's a safer way to do that. I really had expected to get out and explore more with my rocketry, because that is definitely something that I want to get more familiar with, how to land these rockets properly, minimize the amount of work to get some resources in the various worlds. I have put rovers down. Probably the most important one is this water world, where I didn't quite make it all the way down because I did forget about the rovers. That is something I've got to improve, but I got to figure out how to minimize the amount of work essentially that a dupe has to do when they finally get to one of these places. But yeah, one thing though, I do have a huge decoration or recreation room area. I don't often get this actually fully complete in my base, so that is nice. I think it kind of shows that this setup isn't nearly as bad. It takes a bit of time, but when you get your dupes, especially if you have the rovers, it's not too bad. Food production, another thing is I'm now at the point where I actually have ice. I'm able to roll pretty quickly with getting these sleet wheat plant, especially with this. Oh, someone get access to obsidian. All right, well, fair enough. Assume that wasn't from there. But yeah, like it's kind of sad if I leaving this this space at this point, because I often don't get these things fully populated. Anyway, that is I'm gonna go come up with some ideas, strategies, thinking of filming the next playthrough differently, still on a highlight basis, kind of like I'm doing now, but more on a cycle to cycle highlight. We'll see how that's going to go. I have no idea what asteroid I might try next. I may go to one of the more difficult, challenging ones, such as the hot world, or maybe I just do this world but tilt it up the right way. Anyways, oh yeah, the other thing, I want to experiment. Before I leave, I had intended to experiment with the gold volcano. Let me just do that before I say goodbye to the Doomsday Lab. So having some petroleum dropped off here to create a liquid lock. I'm going to have two of them and have a vacuum in between as I approach this zone. One on the left here doesn't really have to be petroleum. It could just be water or something else, but I figured I might as well just put petroleum in for this experiment. So, lots of problems are starting to crop up now. But, I'm going to get rid of this, but what... I don't know whether this has to do with this guy that's venting out, but I've got a pressure of over 8 kilograms of oxygen. That may be the excessive amount of carbon dioxide, which is extremely thick, 9 kilograms. That's a solid carbon dioxide I've been bringing over. I really should have contained that in the area and perhaps limited the amount that I had over. I've been using that heavily to actually send rovers continually down, so it's serving me well, but I definitely should have managed things much more safely than I did, because now we just have an overpressure area. This machine won't even run because of that max pressure. So if I want to complete this test, well, oh my goodness, I've got to move that in a completely different spot right now, just for the purpose of this. Kind of sad, but I'm pumping out all that carbon dioxide. And just as a side note, I've been relying heavily on these guys for sending down rovers, and that's definitely paid off. The only thing is I do find it annoying, because every cycle, or however you want to do this, you gotta crew each one, you gotta change, you gotta go click on that, and you gotta actually hit the launch button, then you gotta wait for the dupe to actually get in there, repeat by the number of rockets that you have, and then you've got to wait for them to get up there, send the rover down. And one thing that's particularly annoying, I find, is the fact that when you do deploy a rover, it goes to the middle of the world. And this is a pretty big world, so I've got to scroll up and show that in a second here. But it is useful because the rovers are free workers for until their battery runs out. But I hit deploy, so notice I'm right here, the center of the base. I gotta go all the way up, find the right place, hit OK. Change, this is gonna be dropped down or else the dupes aren't gonna be happy sitting up in space. And of course get our metal back. Maybe I'm just getting tired, but because there is a huge benefit now that you have that, you have a rover, they're able to go around, you get all the metal back. The other annoying thing, though, speaking of getting the metal back, you have to go around the base and find any of the rovers when they've expired. Oh, and speaking of which, there is one there. You gotta hit destroy if you actually want to get the metal back from it. And I see some leaking water. Oh, I feel like things are falling apart. I've done well up to this point, but there's definitely, I feel, some room to go to make things go a bit smoother. I think one thing that is just killing me mentally right now is having to rebuild this system. And I had to go fix this. I've got to aim now, I think in future playthroughs, is to make that not happen. Because I enjoy creating new stuff, but the moment you have to just go rehaul and redesign something, I find it can be painful. Where are we in terms? Oh yeah, oh we even have some unidentified species. I haven't experimented with that, but yeah, I think that's going to be for another playthrough. There's a lot. There's so much to this game. Well, if I do want to finish off though with this. I'm just not quite sure how to do that. So we get a vacuum area here. I want to put another spot with the petroleum over here. I've got to figure out how to bring in petroleum. That's one too far. Another thing I want to try on a new playthrough is to actually make the ammo suits closer to the exit of the base, core of the base. Had the idea that they'll have less wear of the suits, which is true if it's down here, but I may not be taking advantage. So watch this. This dude currently, if I look at their skills, they've got, they're a good digger right now with 11, but after they put their suits on, they're getting another plus 10. So they've gone up to 21. And that's just the, well, maybe it doesn't go leave and come back. There is the ammo suit plus 10. That is something I haven't been taking advantage of. Now, the only disadvantage of putting this closer that I can see, is that I need to start to produce more Thimbleweed, but that should be an easy one, especially if I have pips. So that's something I want to experiment with earlier, is putting those in. And I need to do a better job of putting, I've done all right, but I need to have better tube access to get around. If anyone else, by the way, has thoughts of how I can improve things from either efficiency or resources or whatever it is, let me know. But I've got several ideas to experiment with. Right now, I'm just waiting for this area to depressurize a little bit, or I might even actually relocate the oil refinery so I can experiment with these gold volcanoes. I want to take advantage of that while I have them very much accessible. What I originally wanted to do is actually get some more rare materials to build something to actually take all this gas out. I may not even need to do that. This temperature steel should, maybe not. But yeah, all right. Let me get some petroleum in, and we'll see what it looks like when I get in here. See what I can get up to. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I found zombie spores. I thought I'd blocked it off. I knew there were zombie spores on this side of the world. I just want to throw the towel in. The other thing, I almost want to do a playthrough where I don't have rovers. Right now I've got 14 dupes. I think I should have upped the number of dupes earlier. That would put a pressure on the overall base, but with more dupes, it's just getting tiring sending rovers up and up. If I could automate the process of pushing rovers out, that'd be one thing, but yeah, that's searching for all these dead rovers around and having to constantly shoot them up is a bit tiring. I think I need to shake things out and try to optimize stuff that I don't necessarily need to rely on them so much. So I got lazy, didn't wait for a full liquid lock. A little piece there will do. Whoa, hold on. Oh, never mind. Yeah, never mind. That's fine. It's good enough. Yeah, this is going to lead possibly to a little bit of... Well, actually, no. On this side, this is going to heat up these rocks. But that's not... I'm going to vacuum there. Down in this direction. I think I still need to put insulated tiles here just to prevent this mass amount of heat from going into the base. Not that I necessarily plan to be around much longer, but I should still keep that in mind. Okay, so here's what I want to experiment with. I've got this very hot gold. How much gold do I have in the world? Alright, secure. Oh, wow, that just went way up getting into to this zone. No surprise, but it's very hot. So that's a bit of a concern. And I had an idea. This idea involves trapping some dupes. Let's say no one can exit. That gets miner stuck. So what I was thinking of doing is just seeing, and I have no idea what's going to happen. But if I were to build something, because I know fridges work a little bit bizarre in the sense that they have a minimum temperature. I wonder if things have a maximum temperature. That is, if I build, let's say, a rocket platform, I don't know, out of gold. Let's say I put it right there. Miner is on the way. What will actually happen? Will the temperature drop? Or is there some sort of maximum? Or maybe there's not, but we'll find out. Okay, so... that is a 323 degree piece of metal. They got to pick up, I think, 800 kilograms, 8 ton. Miner is quite strong. Look at them picking all that up, putting it in. Okay, I'm just going to see. At this point in the project, contents says 329. We don't quite have the 8 ton yet, but miner's still on the case. Temperature is not going up, or, well, it's in a vacuum. Of course, it's not going up and down. We now have the appropriate amount. Will this actually cool it off? I see. Oh no! As long as that piece of liquid is there, technically we're all right. But yeah, this is what I want to end with, at least to learn. So I had this on my mind for a bit. Okay. Ha! Ha! Okay, okay. Let's complete this. That's awesome. That's really awesome. This thing is 45 degrees. That's warm, but nothing near what it was. I just dropped the temperature quite a bit. If I destroy this now, will it go back to its original temperature of 300 and something, extremely hot, or will it stay to the 45? Okay, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, actually. Yeah. So that's like, I could close this area off. I could ship this. With even the new feature of the game, I could say, hey, you know what? Move to. Just put it somewhere central in the base. And I could start construction with it. That is so cool. A manual process because I have to get involved. But I can do 8 ton at a time. There might be other things I could build with... like, for instance... what about some of the machinery? Thinking of the forge. No. Oh no, that can no. It's not made out of gold. Anyway, I can experiment with that. Actually, the rocket platform's pretty good because it's 8 ton at a time. Okay, yeah. Though I had that on my mind because the fridge had. I was disappointed with the fridge. It was an experiment. Oh, I don't even know if I recorded that video or not at this point. Because I lost some of my videos. But I had a section where I was trying. I picked up a piece of granite from the world. Where it was cold, one of these cold zones, and it was minus 30 or something. I put that inside the rocket. I trapped the dupe in a rocket, forced them to build out of that really cold piece of granite, and to my disappointment, the temperature was 15 degrees. So it increased in temperature. That's what kind of clued me in to the fact that maybe buildings, when they are built, they have also a maximum temperature, which they do, so you can actually dramatically reduce the temperature of something in such a way. And I don't think it works with everything. Let's move the gold. Let's do a little bit more experimenting. I'll be back in a second. I just want to make a note. I did not enter this zone at the best place. I should have cut through the abyssalite area, but I'm just more at quick experimentation before I want to go off and try to apply all the things I learned in a new base to see if I can get things a little bit more consistent or stable, I should say. So just doing another experiment, making some metal tiles. I think this is not going to work, so I think what I've done is specific to buildings. I could be wrong, but let's try this out. So Runner is putting in some material right now. Status is showing 400 degrees. The question is when it actually gets built. Let's look at this one here. It's made out of material at 410. Oh, that's hot. You don't want to touch that. But let's see what happens when it's built. This is a metal tile, not a building, keeping in mind. Oh, 45 degrees as well. That applies to tiles. It has a maximum temperature. I've just, again, significantly, so this might actually be easier than buildings, because I could do 10 of these, and that's 10 tons, like 1 ton for each one of these. It's in a vacuum right, well, maybe not right on the edge, but, or it doesn't matter because it's 45 degrees. And then I could destroy it, get all the metal done back, and move on. I just need to make sure I kind of control access in and out here. And there's all this gold too, which could be dug up. So right now I have what, 68 tons, not even including the stuff that I'm about to dig up. Okay, I should have cracked into this much sooner. I was terrified of what to do with all this really hot gold, but I can, you know, it's a bit of a manual process for me, but I can actually bring it out in such a way that I can cool it off to 45 degrees, which is significant because it was 400 when it goes into there. Okay, I think that's a success. Yeah, okay, I might be getting tired of this particular base, this playthrough, but I'll be honest, I have learned a lot. This last little trick in and of itself is awesome. But I learned about, you know, the secret of these guys and simplifying water processing. I've got my rec room set up. I've got much better at this. I used to have a huge vacuum area. Now a little bit of insulated tiles in the right place makes this setup so much easier. So I'm going to try to push this rec room area much earlier in my playthroughs. Dupes aren't using them a whole lot because I'm not giving them much break time, but I should do that in some of my playthroughs coming up. Did get a large area for comfy beds. I think I've got to increase the number of dupes, in particular, because I'm just relying too much on the rovers. And that strategy it's feeling like a little bit old. It was kind of fun at first, but I don't want to have to send rovers down all the time, so I might want to try to get more dupes earlier another playthrough. This is definitely something that really surprised me, is I have 10 of these. I just made the assumption that if you've got 10 steam turbines running at max speed that don't have engine tune-ups, you've got all the power in the world. That actually is not true. After you start making a few thermal aqua tuners, particularly if they're continuously running, and one over here that's making all this ice is has been running. But this, I would kind of abandoning this a little bit now. Oh, did we get? Oh yeah, so we're continuing. If I were to continue this, I guess I would destroy this. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be much effort. Oh, you snuck in. A few of these guys did get in. I need to be a little bit more careful about getting those guys out, because they can be a pain. But anyway, random bits. Lots to improve. Yeah, I might now just take time to look around the base. I think I would simplify the freezing spot for food. And definitely wished I had brought this up closer, the exit of the base. I'm just gonna sit and look at the base for a while, look at some potential improvements. Then I've got to select where I'm gonna go next, and try to do a better playthrough than I've done. I've done decent. I've got tons of food. Like survivability is, not been in question. But I just want to optimize things. There's just so much to learn. I'm trapped. I think I might leave it. At least let the dupes go. Enjoy the rest of the base. But anyway, thank you for watching this episode. Thanks for watching this series. Thanks for anyone for comments in particular. So there's been some things that people have said that's been very useful. And thanks anyone for just liking, subscribing, and hopefully I will see you in a future series where I'll continue honing my skills and setting up bases that will lead to some interesting new knowledge. Continually going to learn and set up a really strong base. Well, until then, guys, I will see you later.